to Hawthorn last week. Desperate to recapture form as the finals approach, the Tigers have dumped a big name. Anthony Mithen is live at Punt Road Oval, and Anthony, who has got the chop?
Well, Justin Charles, Stephen, is out of the side. Couple of pretty ordinary weeks in the seniors after coming back from that 16-week drug ban, and he's got the chop here tonight. He needs a run in the reserves. Jeff Geeshan feels that he just needs to get his form up and going. Also out of the side, Ben Moore's been dropped. Ashley Blurton and Nathan Bauer also out of the lineup. Coming in, Bullis, McKee, Nichols and Michael Gale into the lineup. Jeff Geeshan was looking for something extra early in the week. He called the troops in on Tuesday for a meeting, not totally unexpected, and he's looking for them to try and lift as finals approach.
We have a meeting every Tuesday or 2 days after our performance, after we've let the dust settle and get everything into shape. And look, we spoke about the need to improve upon that effort last week, basically, and just the fact that there's 4 games to go and we need to get everything right over the last month of the season. I mean, we're coming into the most important period, and in some ways, you know, elimination final time has probably started a little bit early, and I think that's probably the way we've got to look at it now. I mean, we can't say we're going to be a top 4 side or whatever. We just got to look to hold ground each week and keep our noses clean and do the job.
Trained pretty well here tonight too, the Tigers.
17 return, Richmond has dropped the big man to the reserves.
While Mark Miranda is hoping to make his return through the reserves, Justin Charles didn't look overly excited about the prospect of lining up in the early game. Still considered an integral part of the Tigers' best 22, the match committee decided Charles needs to run out a full game.
You know, unfortunately, Charles, he hasn't been able to get the sort of match conditioning. I mean, you can do all the training you like, but it doesn't simulate the type of game conditioning you need.
At Collingwood, Nathan Buckley
fractured jaw, Darren Gasper concussion souring the Tigers' victory celebrations. The other winners today, Sydney and Adelaide. First the MCG, and the Tigers paid a heavy price for their 19-point win over Collingwood. Justin Plapp finishing with 4 for the winners. An Australian sporting legend tossed the coin, but Dawn Fraser's hopes of seeing a thriller seem remote, especially with Buckley a late withdrawal for the Pies. The Tigers making a great start, kicking 4 goals in the opening 8 minutes.
Evans is going to recover and kick a goal.
Platt cleaned up Brown, while our cameraman had his own problems on the boundary. Rocker converting for Collingwood, who trailed by 2 goals at quarter time. Richardson was dragged early in the second term, but whatever Jeff Geeshan said did the trick.
Here's the high fly, and Richardson, that's a wonderful nail.
But his kicking let him down, while Rocker had a similar problem at the other end. The Tigers by 8 points at half-time. Plapp gave the Tigers the start they wanted in the third term, but Patterson had the quick reply for the Pies. Change as Richmond's medical staff checked on their star spearhead. He didn't return, forced to sit out the final quarter on the bench, as Plapp shouldered the goal-kicking responsibilities.
40 metres out on a 45-degree angle, he's bent it back.
Then another blow for the Tigers, with Gasper collected by Crow and stretch it off. The Tigers home, though, by 19 points, but with some major injury concerns.
We know that if we get our game together and we play well, we can be more than competitive against these very good sides.
On track following their 19-point win over Collingwood. The Magpies led by 2 points going into the final term, but a 5-goal burst by the Tigers set up their much-needed victory. Last week, Richmond was humiliated. Today, they were determined to prove that was an aberration.
1 metre out, getting Tigers second.
They raced to a 26-point lead early in the first quarter, and it looked like it was going to be a hiding.
Evans is going to recover and kick a goal.
But the Magpies hit back. Tackling was fierce, goals scarce. At half-time, the margin 8 points in favour of the Tigers. The third quarter was another tight struggle as the Magpies, playing for pride, leave the ground with a suspected fractured cheekbone. Richmond regained the lead early in the last with 2 goals to Plapp.
Looks like he's got it.
Gaspar copped a high one, but this didn't deter the Tigers. They booted 5 for the term to run out winners by 19 points.
He's likely to miss the remaining 3 home and away games, but would be available for the final series.
The plate can certainly quicken the healing process and certainly add a bit of strength to that area. So fingers crossed that he'll certainly see some action before the year's out.
Brendan Gale was today cleared of any shoulder damage, and Darren Gasper, who was concussed, will need another neurological test later in the week. And the news.
Collingwood Scott Crow was reported for charging Darren Gasper. He was KO'd, while Richmond's Justin Plapp was cited for striking Magpie skipper Gavin Brown. Also
Losing Matthew Richardson for at least 2 matches and Justin Plapp to face the tribunal tomorrow night. But as Jim Wilson reports, Richmond is hoping Richardson will be fit to take on Melbourne in the final home and away game of the season in less than 3 weeks.
Richardson underwent a major operation last night at the Epworth Hospital to insert a plate into his jaw, which was fractured in a clash with Damien Monkhorst, who's now up on a trial by video charge. But the Tigers are optimistic he may be fit for the last home and away game of the season against Melbourne.
He definitely won't play this week and probably won't play the week after, but hopefully after that he can start to train and join in ball work.
The Tigers will now be sweating on the outcome of tomorrow night's tribunal hearing, where Justin Plapp will answer a charge of striking Collingwood's Gavin Brown. Already without Richardson, the club could ill afford to lose Plapp for Sunday's clash against the Eagles in Perth.
He's a terrific young fellow that is basically a ball player, and sometimes these things happen.
Joining Plapp and Monkhorst tomorrow night at the tribunal, Scott Crowe for charging Darren Gaspar, who's likely to miss the Eagles game with concussion.
5 players who will answer charges.
Harrison.
Holding on to 8th place on the ladder, Richmond is hoping for the best for young forward Justin Plapp at tonight's AFL tribunal. Plapp was reported on video for striking Collingwood skipper Gavin Brown.
Plapp pleaded guilty to striking Collingwood's Gavin Brown and has just been suspended for 1 match.